Drop it. Yeah.
Now what is going on, everybody? My name is Flexy, and today I've got another video for you. Now these past 3 hours I've been assembling furniture in our living room. It's pretty annoying. I'm pretty sure every one of you has ever assembled furniture in his life, so you guys probably know my pain. But that's not gonna stop us. That's not gonna stop us from disassembling our opponent's boards, am I right? So these past 4 days I've been talking about all of the ins and outs and all the details regarding going first Crusadias, how to play a combo based variant, how to assemble a huge board full of negates, stopping the opponent from playing the game basically. And now for these last 3 days left from the tutorial, so the next 3 videos are completely going to be about the going second variant, what kind of OTK combos there are, since Crusadia is innately an OTK archetype itself already. And today I'm going to talk about more of the combos. So if you don't know anything about the Crusadia archetype, then I recommend you go check out my first video that I've uploaded this week on Monday, where I'm explaining every single card in the Crusadia archetype and how the archetype itself functions, kind of. So I'm not going to talk about all of the cards here in too much detail, but I'm pretty sure you're going to get the idea, right? And so without further ado, let's hop right in. Now, compared to the Crusadia going first variants, where you just need any one combo starter and any one extender, it's a little bit different in the going second variants, because usually for your OTK, depending on your hand of course, but in the bare minimum case, you're going to need a Maximus. And sure, you can search a Maximus with the Magus, just like you're searching the Draco in the going first variant. The only problem is that if you only have one combo starter and one combo extender, and neither of them is Crusadia Draco or Crusadia Maximus, then you're not going to be able to keep the Maximus for the real end of the combos to summon him out into Equamax's zone. So that's why if you have a Draco in hand, you can easily retrieve the Maximus from the graveyard, or use the normal summon Crusadia to summon him again and then keep the Maximus for the end of the combo. Or if you have a Maximus in hand, you can search a Draco and then do the exact same thing. But if you have neither of those, then you will need an additional extender to pretty much be able to easily OTK. So now let's hop right into the combo. We're going to normal summon the not Draco Crusadia. If it were the Maximus, you would most likely normal summon the Maximus, but since it's a Draco, you're not going to normal summon the Draco. Then you're summoning the Magus. Of course, since we have a Kaiju in hand, I forgot to mention that, we're going to Kaiju any of your opponent's monsters. In the best case, it's very important that you have to think ahead in which of the extra monster zones your Equamax is going to be, because he's going to point to the Jizukiru or any Kaiju you're having in hand really, and gain the attack points. So if you know that your Equamax is going to be in this zone, then you Kaiju either a monster that's in this zone, or you Kaiju any monster and summon the Kaiju into this zone. Or if you're knowing that the Equamax is going to be in that zone, then of course you're going to choose this zone right over there. But right now, since we don't have an opponent, we can only place it in this zone, but just imagine that the Kaiju is in this zone right here for the entire video. Now we're going to summon the Draco into Magus' zone, channeling 1, channeling 2, taking back normal summon Crusadia, and then searching ourselves a Maximus, adding him to the hand. And then we're going to link away those 2 Crusadias, summon out Regulex, and then summon the normal summon Crusadia into Regulex's zone, adding to our hand the Crusadia field spell, which is right here. Then you can also activate it right now, it doesn't really matter. You're going to link them away into an Equamax. And now since he has a upward pointing arrow, he's going to point to the Jizukiru and then gain the attack points. He also has 2 downward pointing arrows, so I'm going to special summon, that was a mistake, into one of the zones. And now Equamax gains the attack points of the Kaiju, but he's in most cases also going to attack into the Kaiju, so you can pretty much ignore the attack points of the Kaiju real quick. And so that puts him at 2000 attack points on original value. Then he gains 1600 from Maximus, he gains 500 from the field spell, which puts him at 4100 attack points. And then target Equamax with the effect of Maximus, making him deal double battle damage. And now that's what I meant before, is now you're going to attack into the Jizukiru, basically equalizing the attack points that you're getting from him, because you're subtracting the attack points when you attack over him. And then since the double damage applies to the 4100 attack points he has in total afterwards, you're going to deal 8200 damage, so an easy OTK just with 2 cards and a Kaiju. And that's a very bare minimum, that's a very basic combo you're pretty much always going to do. Of course, there are some more convoluted variations. Also, you can deal more damage. If you had a second Kaiju, for example, you could summon him into this zone, then Equamax gains even more attack points. But this very simple and very basic combo is always going to OTK your opponent. Now another combo that you can also do basically is also that's probably or maybe even better if your opponent has multiple monsters, maybe even some monsters with certain interruptions or whatever, is going for the Avramax. So you start off the combo the same way, normal summon any Crusadia. Of course you give the opponent the Kaiju at first. Kaijus, they're not Crusadia archetype cards of course, but they might as well be since they synergize extremely well. Like I can't think of a better card in terms of synergy outside of the archetype than Kaijus. I summon out the Maximus and do the same shenanigans again. Take back the normal summon Crusadia. Add yourself a Maximus. But now this is where a difference comes in. So you can either, in this case, go for a Regulex and do the exact same thing. Summon out a monster into Regulex's zone, then search the field spell, go into an Ecomax, summon out this, and now technically what you could also do is you can link away the Maximus into another Magius, and since you have two monsters that are special summon from the extra deck, a link 3 and a link 1, you can link those two away into an Avramax, who is a little harder to out than the Ecomax, so maybe in some situations that's going to be useful. And also because you have the field spell, and Avramax always gains the attack points of the monster he's attacking, he is pretty much always going to deal 3000 damage, or 35 even, in the case where you have the field spell. And so if he has multiple attack position monsters that could potentially out the Ecomax but can't out the Avramax, then it's a safer bet to go into this combo right here. It's also a 2-card combo, so it's pretty much the same, except it might be better in some situations. Another way you could have performed the combo is by special summoning Spatha instead of the Regulex. So if you normal summon, say, the Leonis, link them away into Magius, then Draco, search Maximus, and then take back the Leonis as well, you go into Spatha, and this is your current setup then. Then you summon any Crusadia monster into Spatha zone, use Spatha's effect to move the Crusadia, so you have another free zone. You can special summon out this one then. Then you can link away those two into an IP Mascarena. And then you have two monsters, link two monsters that are special summoned from the extra deck again, which you can then link into another Avramax. And in this case it's even better because the IP Mascarena, since it's used as link material, is going to protect the Avramax from being destroyed by card effects. Also his own effect protects him from being targeted by card effects, and he pretty much can't be destroyed by battle. So this is an extremely good setup as well. Also for future turns, maybe if you're forced to go first, then this might be a more interesting combo if you really don't have any other plays going first. But it can also help, especially against certain boards, to protect Avramax even more and then going for a safe OTK. So another combo I could talk about, it's a very specific combo, and it's not going to be useful in extremely many cases, but it still can come up sometimes, and I think it's very funny because you can, with this combo, return a Kaiju that you've used to summon onto your opponent's side of the field, return it to your hand, and then you can also summon it back again. So in this case, the Kaiju is again going to be in one of the free zones, above one of our free extra monster zones, the one that we're going to use for sure. And then I'm going to show you so you're going to normal summon the Maximus as always. Pretty standard stuff so far. And now in this case it's very important, if you want to generate the maximum amount of advantage, and this combo is also going to be a 3-card combo, you're going to see why in just a second. And the other thing is that it's extremely important that you have a Reclusia in hand. You can't search the Reclusia off of the Magius, you need to have the Reclusia in hand, because that way you special summon the Reclusia into Magius' zone, search a Draco, and then since they're both spellcasters, you can link those two away into a monster called Akashic Magician. What does Akashic Magician do? Well, it needs two monsters with the same type except tokens as materials. That's why it had to be a Reclusia, because Magius is a spellcaster. What does Akashic Magician do? Well, Akashic Magician, when it's link summoned, or if it's link summoned, you return all the monsters that Akashic Magician points to the hand. So if you summon the Kaiju into the zone above Akashic Magician, you're going to return the Kaiju to your hand and then summon it out again onto your opponent's side of the field. So that's not like going to come up every game, but it's still very interesting to keep in mind. I always play one Akashic Magician in my extra deck because I'm waiting for the day where I can perform this combo once. And now I said if you want to generate the most amount of advantage, you need a 3-card combo. That is because I'm now going to summon the Draco into the Akashic zone, take back the normal summon Crusadia, and technically if it were a 2-card combo, you would only have the Maximus right now, and then you would have to go into Ecomax already to have the Maximus still on your hand, on your board to complete the OTK. But if you still want to search the field spell, for example, or any other spell or trap card, you would have to go into Regulex right now, summon the 3rd card that I was talking about into the zone, add the field spell to your hand, and then you can go on with the combo. Now, to be fair, I just now realized that technically if you have a Leonis in hand instead of a Reclusia, you can still perform the Akashic Magician combo by simply going into Regulax first, then summoning out the Leonis into Regulax's zone since they're both beast monsters, and then go into Akashic Magician, and then go into the Equinox afterwards. So that's another possibility. It doesn't necessarily have to be Reclusia, it can also be a Leonis. So in this next case, I'm going to show you an OTK combo which more so focuses on the fact that your Crusadia Link monsters can attack multiple monsters at once. And this is the Black Garden OTK combo. Now, this is a pretty tricky combo as well. I've played this once at a regionals and I messed it up pretty badly. There's a very precise timing that you have to activate your other field spell, and I'm going to show you in just a second. So you activate the Black Garden as the very first card, and now every time a monster is normal or special summoned, you summon a token onto your opponent's side of the field in attack position. It's like they said at like 800 attack points. Now I'm going to normal summon my Crusadia, and then move the token onto the opponent's side of the field. So one token right there. Then I'm going to special summon the Magius, another token in attack position to my opponent's side of the field. Then I'm going to special summon into Magius' zone, summon another token, and also search the Draco. Then I'm going to special summon the Regulax, which is going to generate yet another token. So your opponent has 4 attack position tokens with 800 attack points each, and technically you could, at this point you could also OTK with the Regulax, it doesn't really matter. But if you still want to go into the Equinox, for example, you can summon the Draco. Also, it really depends whether you have the Maximus or not, but you definitely need a monster to summon into your Regulax's zone to search a field spell. I'm going to tell you why in a second. So, search the field spell off of Regulax. And also with Draco's effect, take back the Maximus. And now this is extremely important. Before you go into Equinox now, you have to activate the field spell. Because Black Garden has a different effect where every monster that is special summoned on any side of the field, I think gets the attack points halved. So if you were to summon, for example, that's a mistake that I did. I summoned Equinox, I summoned Maximus, he was at was 42 attack points, I think, because of the 800 he gained from the token. Well, actually 47 because of the field spell as well. And then, so yeah, he was at 42 attack points, and then because of the Black Garden, his attack points were halved, so he was at 21. And then I activated the Revival field spell, and he gained 500 attack points. He was at like 26, and I wasn't really able to OTK, so that was a bummer. But now that you activated the field spell, it doesn't matter that Regulax and Draco's attack points are halved, because now you're going to just simply summon the Equinox and then summon the Maximus into the zone, and then not only do you have the double damage and he gains all these attack points, which is technically an OTK in itself again, but you could still attack multiple tokens and then OTK your opponent that way. Quick little side note about this Black Garden combo that I've just shown you. You could technically also do that going first. So let's say you don't have any like huge combo plays going first, or don't have anything that you could really set up. In some fringe scenarios, that's really dependent on the opponent's deck though, so you shouldn't definitely not do that like blind going first or whatever. But if you know that your opponent can't get rid of those tokens with his extra deck or with like a Dark Hole or whatever, and he really needs a monster zone to normal summon to start his combo in the first place, in some cases where this is possible, you can also perform the Black Garden combo going first, and then get rid of it with your field spell that way, like summon out an Avramax or whatever, to block his entire monster zones, to block all of his monster zones, and pretty much stopping him from playing that way, because he can't normal summon any monsters or whatever. Though at the same time, this can be problematic if your opponent plays many nightmares, for example, in his extra deck, because for example with a Nightmare Unicorn he can simply get rid of 3 tokens at once and then have his zone to play on, etc. So that's not really an option. But if your opponent plays something like Yosenju's, for example, where he can only really normal summon and doesn't use his extra deck a lot, then this is also definitely a viable option going first. And now, since there is a pretty powerful card out there that's called Accesscode Talker, which can pretty much OTK by itself in some situations even, there's one combo where you could do with a Parallel Exceed. It's extremely important. It only works with a Parallel Exceed pretty much because he's a Cybers monster. And the way it works is as follows. You normal summon the Maximus, link into a Magius, summon out the Exceed, and then through Exceed's effect you summon out another Exceed, and those 2 exceeds you link away into Update Jammer, and this card says that if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard as link material, the monster summoned with this effect can make a second attack during that turn. So let's just keep that in mind. We link summon then a link 3 monster with those 2, which is Accesscode Talker, and Accesscode Talker has the effect where you can special summon the Update Jammer from the graveyard into a zone Accesscode Talker points to, so in the downward pointing zone. And now since you have a link 3 monster and a link 2 monster on board, you can link those 2 away into Accesscode Talker. And this is pretty strong because you have used a link 3 monster as material for the Accesscode Talker, meaning he will gain 3000 attack points, putting him at 5-3. And also because you use the Update Jammer, which is not a hard once per turn effect, Accesscode Talker can also perform a second attack this turn, which pretty much means he can deal 10,600 damage if he attacks directly. And also because you have some link monsters in your graveyard, especially these 3 have different attributes, so you can banish those 3 from your graveyard and pop 3 cards, and your opponent cannot react to the effect because it's pretty much a spell speed 4. So that's how you can, even in Crusaders, perform the pretty standard Accesscode Talker like single card OTK combo, even though Crusaders don't really need it. And in my personal opinion, it's way more fun to perform the OTK with an Avramax or an Equamax. But if you really wanted to play the Accesscode Talker OTK combo, or maybe just have it like as a backup plan, then you can definitely do that with the Parallel Exceed. But since I know that the Accesscode Talker is extremely expensive and probably won't drop in price for another year or 2, probably even 2 to 3 years, similarly to how the Pot of Extravagance has been extremely expensive for a very long time, there's a more budget variant of Accesscode Talker, and I'm going to show you in a second. Now this might remind you of the going first combos that I've been talking about for these past few days. I'm going to show you. So you normal summon any Crusadia, then you summon a Magius and perform the standard Guard Dragon combo at first. So I'm going to search a Draco, then link those 2 away into a Spatha. So this is also a pretty big combo variant. It's pretty much the same as the going first combo to be precise, but this is more so oriented to go second and break a board apart. Now I'm going to summon the Draco, take back the normal summon Crusadia, then link into LP. Spatha effect is going to move LP. And now, to be honest, I forgot to put in the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon into this specific deck list, but I'm just going to present that this is the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon right here. So you summon this out, then with his effect you summon back the Draco, link those 4 away into a Skuldred, which is then going to draw you another card, doesn't really matter. Then you will use Skuldred's effect to summon out the Format Skipper, summon out the Leonis, and perform the Codebreaker combo. Then you can also use Format Skipper's effect to search yourself either a Parallel Exceed, for example, which I would probably do in this case, or Scripton if you really wanted to. Then you can activate Virus Swordsman's effect to summon out the Zero Day, which I've also forgotten to put in apparently, so I'm going to use this as a proxy pretty much. Proxies on Duel Link were pretty wild, am I right? And then link those 2 away into the Virus Berserker, use the effect to summon out the other 2. And now this is the first step where it's pretty interesting, because Virus Berserker has the effect: during your main phase, you can destroy spells and traps your opponent controls up to the number of linked Codebreaker monsters on the field. And since Skuldred is pointing to all 3 Codebreaker monsters in this scenario, you can activate the Virus Berserker effect to destroy 3 back row cards on your opponent's side of the field. So that's a pretty interesting move already if you're playing against control decks. You could do something like link away the link 3 monster and the main deck monster into a card called Wrestler Liger, which I call We Have Accesscode Talker at Home. It has the same arrows, it has similar stat lines, also a link 4. The effect is a little worse though, because first of all, you can target 1 link monster in your graveyard, and this card gains attack points equal to that target's attack points. So in this case I would target the Virus Berserker, making him gain 2,800 attack points, which is pretty similar to Accesscode Talker after his attack push effect. And also you can tribute monsters that this card points to and then destroy that many cards on the field, which is not a spell speed 4, of course. Otherwise the card wouldn't cost 5 cents. But you can tribute those 2 cards right now, for example, and then pop 2 additional cards. So you could pop 3 back row with the Codebreaker, and then 2 monsters, for example, with the Wrestler Liger. And then, even then, you still have zones left on the field. So you can summon into this zone, you can summon into that zone. I also have 2 Pot of Desires, let's fire them off real quick. They're going to draw 2 cards. And in this case, we even drew into an extender, so we can do this. Then link into a Regulex, activate the Parallel Exceed effect, summon out a second Parallel Exceed, add the field spell to our hand, link into an Equamax, summon a Kaiju onto the opponent's side of the field, summon a Kaiju onto our side of the field, activate the field spell, GG, no re. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you liked the video. So even though going second is often well, I don't want to say looked down upon, but it's a very standard deck. Of course, you only have to climb with the 2-card combo into the Eco Makes. It's pretty much the same all the time. You're only hoping for your opponent not to interrupt your combo too heavily because you want to still get the 8,000 damage on board. Sometimes you're even able, like, I think the highest I've done was something like 27,000 damage or whatever, so it's pretty insane. It's also very versatile because you can technically also side in like a going first engine, and then whatever you have to go, you can do it. You can also OTK with the going first variant because the combos are pretty much the same, which is extremely nice. And the OTK is very powerful. Sometimes your opponents won't believe you that Ecomax can really deal 13,000 damage, but that's just what makes this deck even better, right? So if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, then leave a thumbs down, but especially let me know in the comments what you didn't like, because I'm always trying to improve my content. And if you know any other wacky Crusadia going second combos that help you break apart their opponent's board even better, then let them down in the comments as well, because these are pretty much all the combos that I was able to come up with on my own. And I'm pretty sure there are like many more crazy combos out there. And with that being said, guys, see you next time.